Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Good evening. Thank you for coming to the live stream that we're doing today. And we're going to be talking about something hopefully that some of you are interested in. Yeah, would you like to date a foreign person? And by foreign person, I obviously mean non Japanese, right? I don't want to get too much into that conversation, but let's just say you want to date somebody that's not Japanese. And it's a simple question, and I find it interesting, but it's kind of like, why? I honestly, I full disclosure, I don't really have any interest in dating a white American girl, especially if she's from California. There's just something, especially if she's blonde. That's just me personally. So everybody has their own preference of what they want in life. But if you guys do want to date a foreigner, a non Japanese person, I'm kind of curious as to why. What's your thinking? What's the fantasy? What's the expectation? What's the dream look like? I think this is kind of interesting for a lot of people because I know that there's a lot of interest. Not everybody, obviously, the majority, I think, of Japanese people date Japanese people. I mean, that's just simple math. But there are a lot of people who do want to date a foreigner, a non-Japanese person. And so I'm just kind of curious why that would be and what you guys are thinking. So why don't you turn on the lights? Do you stay apartment or hotel? I'm staying in an apartment, but I think this it's a nice little backdrop. Basically, looks a little more theatrical, if you ask me. I like this style though, so thanks for pointing out the obvious, but it looks like I'm on a stage, right? It looks like we're doing some sort of like stand up night bit, when you watch the news or something like that. I just need a band over here or something like that so they can play music for you guys. Sorry about that. No band. But anyway, so a lot of people do want to date a foreigner. I've talked to a lot of people and I've seen a lot of my friends, for example, date a foreigner, a non Japanese person, and it's kind of interesting. What are you guys thinking? What's the allure? Because one of the big problems I notice, and I would say problems or issues that you might have, is that, well, if you date with a foreigner, you gotta basically learn English. There's a few obviously examples of people dating like French people or Italian people or something, Russian people, something like that. Obviously, Chinese people or something. There's many non-English speaking foreigners out there, non-Japanese people. But basically, one of the big issues I know that comes into play here is that basically the language barrier is one of the most interesting aspects of the whole thing. And if you feel like it's a barrier, then, well, I mean, that's the issue right there. Because a lot of people, and this is just in general, right? But when you first meet somebody, you kind of are a better version of yourself when you first meet them. You present the best version of yourself, and that's the funniest version of you, the strongest version of you, the prettiest version of you. And then you try to present that, when you do your first date and your second date and your third date, you're trying to present the best version of yourself. But what happens is over time, as you get to know each other, the less better version of yourself starts to appear. And all of a sudden, a few weaknesses, I guess, also appear. And this is for most people, men or women. So, and of course, generally speaking, obviously, there's perfect people out there somewhere, but for most of us, as you get to know somebody over time, you start to notice weaknesses, lack of strength in certain aspects of life. And one of those things is, the English ability becomes an issue, I think, for a lot of people. And I've noticed, of course, this is not everybody, but I've noticed that in the case of when the couple, be it a guy and a girl, or a girl and a guy, Japanese girl, foreign guy, foreign girl, it doesn't matter. But I've noticed that the pattern is that when one of the people in the relationship is monolingual, it typically it's not as smooth as it could be. Let's just put it like that. And it's interesting. And I guess that, if we're really thinking about it, when the couple doesn't share like really like the same language. Basically, I noticed that's when problems begin to arise. Is communication isn't really happening on a true level because when you start to go through issues in life, this basically becomes a trial in a sense where you have to be yourself, right? And hopefully you live an honest life. So you try to be honest. And so you have to express yourself, but you have to do it all in English. And so when there's a problem, a miscommunication, the thing needs to be resolved typically in English, or if the partner speaks Japanese, you can resolve it in Japanese, right? But I've noticed that a lot of foreigners, not everybody, of course, but a lot of foreigners don't speak Japanese well enough to really get into discussion, let's just say, for lack of a better word. I honestly think I do fine as far as daily people skills are concerned with my friends or lovers. I know how to communicate, but honestly, I feel a little more difficulty when I'm dealing with, like, let's say, the visa office or something like that. So I feel above out of my league a lot of times in Japanese, but as far as like normal conversation goes, daily conversation and stuff like that, I feel kind of confident to be able to discuss issues, like, for example, money, for example, chores, for example, where do you want to live, for example, how much do you want to pay for where you want to live, like, what are we going to get for dinner, what are we going to do for fun on Friday, all these issues that there are. And you know daily decisions have to be made, and if you're living by yourself, it's so easy to make decisions sometimes, right? It's just you just make decisions because you don't have to do a team committee with everybody, right? But when you're dealing with another human being, you have to make these decisions together. At least that's my opinion, that you should be making decisions together and you should be comfortable with these decisions. And if anybody's making decisions for you and you don't feel comfortable with them, you shouldn't do those decisions if you don't feel comfortable. You should always feel comfortable. Like, you should always feel secure. You should always feel like that you're having a good time. That's the ideal, right? Maybe a lot of people get used to not having the ideal, so they accept sub ideal conditions in their life and sub ideal uh, circumstances in their relationship. So but all of these issues all come down to communication, and the communication obviously could be done in Japanese and it could be done in English. I mean, you could write letters, you could send each other voicemail. There's so many ways to communicate, but the main thing is obviously sharing a common language that you both feel comfortable in. That is by far the biggest thing for a relationship. And I'm talking like a long term relationship, right? Obviously, there's short term relationships, there's dating, there's having fun, there's things called one night stands, there's a thing called going out to the club and getting lucky and stuff like that. I'm not really talking about that because you can not communicate and, have a fun time with people. Not going to lie. Hey, we're all adults here, right? So then basically the issue comes down to, well, what about long-term relationships, lasting relationships? And the number one thing that you need besides beauty and besides youthful skin, and if you're a guy, besides muscles, right? What you need is to communicate whatever's going on inside your head, and you need to be honest with what's going on inside your head. So those two things apply to any relationship, Japanese Japanese or Japanese foreigner, right? Like I'm saying though, the problem arises when you don't share a common language that you both feel comfortable in. I've noticed, and a let's just say, for example, Japanese living in America, for example, or Europe or Canada or something like that, is that when a problem arises, right, and they don't speak the same language. For example, if the wife is not comfortable in English, she'll start to talk to her friends in Japanese and maybe like her family in Japanese, and basically not include him into the conversation, like the husband into the conversation, because all the conversations happening in Japanese. So once you begin to have a split of information, things can go pretty bad if you let it. You know what I mean? I honestly believe in honesty and open communication. So when you guys are in a relationship with a non-Japanese person, it doesn't matter if they're Italian or American or Chinese, you have to communicate. And hopefully you have a partner that you can communicate with 100% and still be yourself. I know a lot of people do speak English, but they're a little uncomfortable with their English, or they're not able to express their true personality when they speak in English. And this could be a problem too, because again, everybody can talk about maybe surface level kind of things like these are my hobbies, these are my dreams, and you can list things, right? But then when you really get into the conversation of like why you want to go home on Friday at 10 o'clock, even though everybody else is still having fun, you have to explain why you feel like you want to go home, like in these kind of like little details, right, of the daily mundane uh, decision making that we have to do. It's not necessarily glamorous, it's not necessarily fun, but in order to facilitate good communication, you have to be able to explain what's going on inside of your head, especially when you guys don't agree what's going on or you have different opinions. And, one of the biggest things that you could see in a relationship is like choosing what to eat for dinner. That is one thing that's like, if you can't agree on that, boy, what a miserable time that's going to be, right? Or for example, maybe you can't agree on what city you both want to travel to when you have vacation. So it's kind of like, whoa, you guys are not agreeing what's going on here, right? So a lot of issues go into a relationship, but again, the communication thing is the most important thing. So 結構英語うまいですね。すいませんね. I've been practicing for a few years. And so how much does it cost for the apartment in total? It costs thousands of yen. It's unbelievable. Really, I think I should go back to Vietnam or Thailand. It's amazing. You could get like a hotel at the beach in Thailand or in Vietnam, and it's like only like 500 bucks. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do when you can travel and you can do work online. So, yeah. So, anyway, guys, how are your relationships doing? Do you guys want to date with a foreigner? I think that one of the big patterns that I see is that Japanese girls and foreign men get together often. I don't see a lot of Japanese men with foreign women, to be honest, and I wonder why. Maybe I've read an article about this, maybe I haven't, but I just seem to notice the pattern that foreign men usually are more, it's more, how do you say, there's more of those kind of relationships where a foreign man gets with a Japanese woman, and then there's less of foreign women getting with Japanese men. And so there's kind of a discrepancy there. What's going on? Why? Are Japanese men less desirable? I mean, what's going on? I don't know. Honestly, full disclosure, I'm not interested in men, so I don't like men. I never want to date a man. I have no interest in dating a man. If a guy is cool enough and like we vibe, like we connect, obviously friendship is a possibility, but I will never date a guy. I don't think it just does not, it's not really my thing. So, I honestly wouldn't date a Japanese guy, nor would I date a foreign guy, just to be honest. So, I don't know what's wrong with Japanese men because, one, I don't want to date any guy, but two, I'm just saying, if you look at like, just go out and see the foreign couples that are walking around, especially in Japan, most of the time you're going to see a foreign guy with a Japanese girl, not the other way around. And that to me is interesting as well. There seems to be a difference depending on. It would be one thing if like it was equal, like if you just saw a bunch of foreign girls dating Japanese guys, you'd be like, hey, well that cool, right on, way to go. But what it appears to be is not. It appears to be like not enough. You know what I mean? It appears to be a very rare occasion when a Japanese man starts dating a foreign girl, and obviously it happens. Like, but it just doesn't happen as much as Japanese girls who date foreign guys. And so if it's like, what, why, what's the reason? I don't know. I've never dated a Japanese guy. I've never dated a foreign guy, so I don't know the difference. I don't know why foreign girls decide what they decide anyway. You know what I mean? Like uh, again, this decision making process is not something I'm familiar with. And that's why I'm kind of asking you guys. Maybe you guys have some opinions on why foreign men are better than Japanese men, or maybe if you're a Japanese man, maybe you have your reasons why foreign women are better than Japanese women. I don't know. If you guys have any comments, go ahead and please let me know. Go ahead and comment down there in the comment section if you want. この頃外人に What's up です。先生、これで言ってるんですが、話してくれません。まあ、小さいな声だったら、いや、でも別に What's up って、you could just say What's up. And then こうやって頭ね、こう頭何上がって、like, hey, What's up? And that's it. もうこんにちはみたいな感じやから、大丈夫です。本当に深い話、そっから、What's up から深い話、まあ、ならない可能性があるからね。You just say What's up? Like, hey, こんにちはって感じやから。And that's okay. Just say it. こんにちは。Because like when I'm walking down the street and like it's getting narrow in the street, there's kind of like you're passing somebody, there's kind of like a moment where you kind of have to like, at least in Japanese you can bow your head to acknowledge the person, right? But with foreigners, we don't do the bowing your head thing kind of thing. So it I think that you got to kind of use your voice if you're going to greet somebody, but even then there's no expectation of having a actual whatchamacallit conversation. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to have a conversation. So same old, kyomo. What's that mean? Same old backdrop, same old cool uniform that I'm wearing. Uh, to me, there's nothing of the same thing going on ever. Because if you really think about fifth dimensional reality, which maybe you don't, but we've never been here before. I've never been in this apartment. I've never been here on April 25th, and I've never had this conversation with you. So I don't know what is the same old. Nothing much is like, what's up? Okay, so yeah, we're going with the what's up. Okay, so yeah, it's not something that you actually have to answer, is what I'm saying. What you could do is just say, what's up? And they say, what's up too? And that's it. That's the end of the conversation. Um, if you really want to get to know somebody, you're going to have to do something different. And so, what's up is just a nice way to say hi, but そっからまた別のね、アプローチがないと、会話にならないと思うね。でも、とりあえずね、What's up? 小さいな声じゃなくて、Hey, what's up? まあ、ちょっと勇気出して言ってみてください。Yeah, because honestly, 小さい声で言って、ちょっと、どうだろうね。ちょっと自信持って言ってくださいね。で、そこから反応どうですかねって感じですね。はい。Anyway, so, but no, that's a good thing because like you got to get out there and say hi to people. And I will always say this, I will say it every single live stream that I ever do, excuse me, that you got to get out there and talk to people because seriously, you got to get out there and practice. You can look at a book, you can look at a lesson, you can listen to this live stream. It's not going to matter until you get out there and talk to people in reality. So get out there, say hi, experience things. All right, guys. So good job. I'm very proud of you. 何食いしんなんだろう。漢字難しいですね。はい。But thank you so much for your comments. So anybody out there dating a foreigner, please share your opinions because this is one of those things like I'm going for like I don't want to say taboo conversational subjects, but I want to talk about the things that maybe you don't get a chance to talk to with your normal friends, your family, or your coworkers, or something like that. Because maybe you have some sort of dream or fantasy that's a little different than everybody else. I know that a lot of people have the dream to go to foreign countries, like to travel around the world, right? And so we all have our fantasies, right? Even if it's just like, hey, one day I want to get a good job. I want to get a job at a big corporation, and I'm gonna make a lot of money, and I'm gonna get a Mercedes Benz. And so everybody got dreams, right? Everybody has a dream. Now, your dream might be different than other people's. And for a lot of Japanese people, I think, especially these days, a lot of people's dreams are evolving. They're getting a little more complicated than just sitting around in your hometown your whole life. A lot of people want to get out and experience new things. But in that experience of new things is talking and potentially dating a non Japanese person. And so I kind of get it and I kind of don't. Because as an American, there's so many different types of Americans that it's a really more complicated story in America. But like to date an actual non-American, somebody born not in America, is a different experience than dating an American for sure. And so I honestly had a Japanese girlfriend, but I think because of a long distance relationship, we broke up. But when I was living in America, like I think that I learned a lot about connecting with people. I think that's really at the end of the day, the real story that's happening here is that are we connecting? You know, and if we're connecting, does it matter if you're Japanese? Does it matter if you're Korean? Does it matter if you're from China or Vietnam? And at the end of the day, I don't think it does. If it does, that would be sad. You know, I remember when I was first living in Tokyo, I met a Korean girl. We became friends. I introduced her to my other friend, and she got a crush on him and stuff. So, like, she was genuinely a friend, but she's Korean and she didn't speak Japanese really, and she didn't speak English. But then, over the course of like 3 months, she began to learn Japanese, and we had a lot of conversations in Japanese. And she wasn't a Japanese girl; she's different than Japanese girls. Korean girls seem to be different than Japanese girls in many different ways. But it was more or less that it wasn't even that she was Korean or not Korean, but she was a unique person that was different than most people that I'd met up to that point. And so that was interesting, and it was good, and it was a good friendship that we had. So the whole point is the connection part, right? And that connection part, you might think that it's like, well, the language, right? But in the case of just connecting with a friend, she was Korean, but we were speaking Japanese, and so, the language wasn't really the issue. It was more about the feeling of connection. And that feeling of connection has nothing to do with the language. So I guess what really is happening, because you could look at and say, well, all the problems a relationship has, come down to communication and language, right? But let's maybe talk a little bit more about in the beginning, the attraction, the connection that you have with a non-Japanese person. Maybe that feels a little strange at the beginning, especially if you haven't really talked to a foreign person before. But it really does feel weird, because if you can't have a conversation, how do you nurture the connection? And again, going back to the Korean friend, because when I first met her, she didn't really speak Japanese, but she just got to Japan. She was learning Japanese. So in about 3 months, though, she was speaking Japanese a lot better. So we were able to have a conversation, and that's where we're able to nurture the connection. But it's a weird Toki-san, konbanwa, good evening, thanks for stopping by. That it's a weird thing when you have a sense of connection, you want to nurture that connection, and the way to do that nurturing is through conversation and sharing a language. So when you can't share a language and share a conversation, it's hard to nurture. But nonetheless, the initial attraction or connection was there, and it's there for many people, I think. So maybe that feeling of attraction towards a foreign person, what's going on there? You know what I mean? What does it feel like to be in a room full of Japanese people, for example, and then you see one foreigner and you think, who is that guy? Right? There's something mysterious maybe about him. There's something different, right? But what is that attraction thing? Is it because they're different? Is it because maybe there's something new? Maybe there's a new way of thinking or some sort of new hobby that they're doing that is fascinating to you. I don't know what it is. And maybe, again, that's why I'm making this little video is to try to get some ideas here because I'm trying to get to know what you guys are thinking. When I make videos, let's just be very clear. I'm trying to help you guys speak English, right? I want you guys to speak English, and I'm trying my best to do what I think is the best thing for you. And a lot of people don't really understand how good it is to listen to somebody really talking English in real speed because they're so addicted to listening to English lessons where English lessons are all scripted and fake and a bunch of bullshit as far as I'm concerned. So I'm trying to give real, actual in the moment English conversational kind of content for you guys. In the meantime, as I get to know you guys, because I want you to speak English and I'm trying to have a conversation with you in English, but I can't talk to 100 people and everybody's got different opinions about this or that. I'm trying to keep it to the theme. And the theme today is talking about international relationships and dating a foreigner. But again, using language to talk about something that might be interesting to you. And I want to know why it's interesting to you. I want to know why you guys want to maybe date a foreigner. Maybe I want to know why you don't want to date a foreigner. Like, only want to date a Japanese. And I'd be curious to hear that opinion as well, because I am trying to get to know you guys. And as I try to get to know you guys, I get to understand all people better because I do believe in a common human experience and I do believe that anybody can achieve their dreams. So if you want to be bilingual, I think you can do it. It's just you're going about the whole situation wrong. And so that's where, again, I talk about going out, meeting people, like how to mimic and stuff, pronunciation, all these lessons to help you become better at speaking English, right? So if you guys do want to learn with me, I can share something here, and it's just a brief little thing, not a big deal. It's how do you say? I only because one of the things I'm going to be doing really soon here, and today I started research. But basically, I'm going to be making a few different videos. I'm going to try to make longer videos, right? So I'm going to be busy making videos in the next few days. And the videos definitely going to be talking about English and accents, American English. And of course, they're going to be talking about the color system as well. So I'm going to be busy with that. But if you guys do want to do some sort of, how do you say, kind of like little lesson with me, there's a link right there. You can click on that link and then we can do a little one-on-one session if that's something that you might be interested in. Honestly, I only need maybe about 2 people right now because I don't want to do get my schedule too busy because I'm going to be making more videos in the next week or so. So hopefully, if you guys do want to do that, just 1 or 2 of you, that'd be great. Be something in the meantime for me to do as I'm traveling here in Japan. As you may or may not know, I was living in America, but I've been traveling around the world for the past year or so. Oh my God, maybe, yeah, coming up in about 1 week, it'll be a year that I've been traveling. That's amazing. So if you guys want to do a lesson, there's a link right there. So この前、親戚が結婚しま、相手がい人です. Ah, yeah. So, well, there you go. See, a lot of people, maybe not yourself, but maybe somebody like one of your friends or your family has got married to a foreigner, right? And so, how does that feel? What's going on? What's how do you say? What's the motivation, right? So, その時 you must be happy って言ってしまいました。You must be happy. こういうふうに、まあね、um, well, you must be happy. That's fine. I mean, 嬉しいでしょみたいなね。だって、まあ、you must be happy. That's okay to say. I mean, you must be happy, right? You should be happy, all right. But I think the typical thing to say when somebody gets married is, "I'm happy for you." Yeah, I'm happy for you is probably the more standard thing to say. But yeah, you must be happy って言われても、まあ、悪くないよ。Yes, I am happy. Thank you って感じですね。はい。So, but yeah, it's okay as long as you're happy too. Because I know there are instances where the family does not approve of the foreign boyfriend, and I know people, so it's an interesting conversation because sometimes somebody in the family is against marrying a foreigner, right? And it could be dad, it could be grandma, it could be anybody, could be a cousin, it could be anybody, but somebody could be against the marriage. And I'm also curious about that. But I kind of assume that most people that are watching my channel wouldn't be against a foreign marriage. You know what I mean? Because I would just have to assume that the people against marrying a foreigner, it's just people really maybe not interested in learning English. You know what I mean? So, but if you guys are interested in mm, dating a foreigner, I want to know why. I want to know what the reason is. And again, it feels like when I ask these like sensitive questions, right? These personal questions, a lot of people get shy and they don't want to share their personal experience. Now, I could go out onto the street into Tokyo or something like that, start interviewing people on the street like that one guy. But it takes a lot of effort to get out there and to interview people. And then again, at this point right now, it's this weird little thing with the algorithm. I think that a lot of my videos that do well are all related to like the 芸能人の英語の評価って感じ. And that's okay. I don't mind. But anytime that I've tried like an idea that's new, the algorithm doesn't really pick up on it and it doesn't get shared. And I think that's kind of sad because I've made so many cool videos that have nothing to do with gay no jinne. So the other day, one of my relatives got married. The partner was a foreigner. Well, there you go. Everybody's getting married to a foreigner right now. What's going on? Is there a trend? Like what is happening? I would say that there is, but I think it's easy to stand your English compared to British. So you think I learned American? Sure. Well, look, you learn one English and then you learn the rest from there. Like I honestly only speak American English. So if you really wanted to learn British English, you can go ahead and do that. There's nothing stopping you. As we say in America, it's a free country. You can do what you want. But honestly, I would do one first and then the other. But even when you learn the other, I don't ever speak British English. So why would I learn it in a sense? Only for trivia sake, because it's interesting to talk about, British English, but I would never use it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But honestly, it's your choice. Always choose what feels best for you and what you want to do. So the American English versus British English, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you want. Having said that, I only speak American English, so that's all I'm going to teach. So yeah, so I wonder if there is a trend going on. Like it seems like a lot of people are getting into like dating a foreigner. Like that might be a cool thing. Maybe I need to do some investigative reporting or something like that, where I can go into some sort of like a gokon or something like that. Maybe I can start a gokon or something like that, where I get like a few of my foreigner friends, and then we can do a gokon together now. How about that? Would that be fun? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It'd be interesting because I have foreign friends that don't speak Japanese. I have foreign friends that kind of speak Japanese. Nobody really speaks Japanese like me, as far as my friends are concerned. I need to meet more foreigners that speak Japanese. That would be interesting. I would love to do an interview with somebody, a foreigner in Japanese. But hey, that's another subject. Whole other subject entirely. Maybe that will make another video about that. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but sticking to what we're talking about, foreigners, dating, love. If anybody has any kind of like opinions on why they feel these feelings and why they feel this attraction, I would like to know. My guess is that there's maybe some sort of like desire for new experience. I think there's some sort of desire for adventure. I know that, coming from America, I was kind of bored with the America that I knew, even though it was a nice place. California, the weather's nice and stuff like that. Go to the beach, stuff like that. It was nice, but like I just felt there's something missing with American culture, and there definitely is. Don't get me wrong. Like having talked with people around the world and lived in foreign countries myself, like yeah, I'm getting a more satisfying experience by basically hanging out with non-Americans. And even when I was living in Hollywood, two of my good friends were not American born. Both of them immigrated to the United States, and it was way more refreshing than just having a typical American friend. So I kind of do personally seek out unique experiences, and a lot of times, you know, being friends or dating these foreigners bring a unique and refreshing experience to your life. So that's what I would imagine is happening in Japan. Maybe there's like a sense of being stuck in Japan, being stuck at your job, being stuck in your house, being stuck wherever, and that you want to go somewhere new and you want to go somewhere refreshing, and that possibly by dating a foreigner that you would have access to traveling the world and doing things around the world. I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own opinions and everybody has their own fantasies. So I think that sharing these fantasies can be embarrassing for a lot of people because, like, it's embarrassing to say sometimes that, I don't want to buy a house and get a corporate job. I want to travel the world. That's what I want to do. Right? It sounds crazy, but like you only got one life, right? And so you got to get out there and do something new. And this kind of thinking can be seen as crazy, and then like to want to travel the world, you can feel kind of isolated because none of your friends want to travel the world and none of your friends are dating a foreigner. So maybe again, there's a lot of taboo in this conversation. So it's very hard to be honest. And that's okay because I've talked to a lot of people, and we can usually when I talk to somebody in reality, we can get to the truth. So it's like, why do you want to date a foreigner? And I've heard enough stories. I kind of get what's going on. And I think that a lot of people do really desire something more than just their hometown. And I know that feeling is for sure in me because that's why I left California. I wanted to get out of my hometown, and even going back to my home state, like I just felt like my hometown is finished. I'm just not going to live in my hometown again. There's better cities that fit my style and my personality better. San Francisco or LA, for example. But that's just me. What about you guys? What is going on? Why would you guys want to date a foreigner? Why would you want to leave Japan? And that's fine. It's totally cool to have these dreams and fantasies, but what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to make your dream a reality? What are you going to do to make your fantasy a reality? And so, one of the things is obviously if you really want to date a foreigner, is that you got to go out and meet foreigners, right? But not, skipping that subject, we can just talk about how basically you still, even if you meet a foreigner, even if you meet like a non-Japanese person and you want to date them, you still got to learn, you still got to speak English basically, unless they speak Japanese fluently. And to be honest, when I talked to when I was talking to my ex-girlfriend, we only spoke Japanese, if I remember correctly, and I don't really remember speaking English to her, and I do not recall her ever speaking English to me at all. So, it is possible to have like a non-English relationship. For some people, like for me, like I remember when I was living in Japan, there was basically like, I don't need English while I'm living in Japan. Of course, it's easier to speak English, but we can talk about deep things in Japanese. いつも宇宙の話してたんだけどね。宇宙の話。 But we could talk about lots of different things in lots of different languages. But as long as you both are sharing the same language, and as long as you're both being authentic to yourself, where you feel that you can talk and express yourself and feel heard and feel understood, then everything's going to be okay. You're going to have a good relationship. Doesn't really matter where anybody's from, as long as you're able to communicate and then agree on what's important. And I would just argue, as long as you agree on like love and being honest, and not causing suffering, that you can have a pretty successful relationship with anybody, Japanese or non-Japanese, right? But really, at the end of the day, if you wanted to date a foreigner, right? Even attraction totally there, right? Like you totally connect. You find them appealing. You think they're beautiful. They're funny. All the attraction is there. Great, that's awesome. But you still gotta basically, chances are you gotta like basically speak English unless they speak really good Japanese, right? And people like that are kind of rare. So, what are you going to do? You can either look for somebody like me who speaks fluent Japanese, konnichiwa, or, you can practice your English. You can get better at English. And then you can think about like all these different conversations that you're having to get better at English are just preparing you for the one day that you're going to have a conversation with your eventual future love of your life, your partner. You know what I mean? So you got to get out there. You got to start practicing. You got to have conversations with real people. You can't really be watching videos like this and really expect to get better. Hopefully, the bare minimum, I've encouraged you to do something after the video, such as like practice a little more or get out there and meet somebody. But remember, if you have a fantasy, it can come true. So if you do have a fantasy of having some international marriage and having half no kodomo, if that's your fantasy, then it's possible. You can totally do it. But still, you got to get out there and meet people, right? That's like a super important thing. And then two, you gotta um, communicate honestly, and so practicing your honesty in English is super important. So, guys, thank you so much for watching this. Again, I hope that like just you guys listening to like a real person think in real time is beneficial for you. If it is, great, awesome, thanks. Then I did my job for today and I feel better. And if I didn't help you guys out, well, I'll try to make a better video next time. And again, there's so many things going on right now. I can only do so many things. Obviously, what I'm going to be doing in the future is going to be talking about the app a lot more because it is complete, it is ready, and I'm shifting everything over to the app. So we'll be talking about that. And in the meantime, if you guys wanted to do some sort of month-to-month lesson there, go ahead, click the link, and let me know because I have some time for about maybe two, maybe three people. But like, if you guys want to do something like that where we can talk one on one and we can talk about whatever you want, and not only can we talk about whatever you want, but I will give you actionable things to work on, such as your pronunciation, such as such as like teaching you the natural way to say things. There's so many things I can do to help you if we go one on one and have like a real conversation. So if that's something you want to do, please go over and click the link right there. And basically, we can maybe have that one-on-one conversation. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. If I'm gonna one day hopefully get, and this is gonna be my dream, that there's gonna be like 1,000 people on the live stream, and that people will be giving their opinions honestly about dating and stuff like that. Now, and international relationships. I do know that one of the things is that's always happening is that a lot of what I'm saying could be understood by thousands of people, and thousands of people could be watching this. But in the meantime, I don't do enough live streams, and so therefore the algorithm doesn't really spread my live streams because that's not what the algorithm knows me for. So I will be trying to do more live streams for you guys, hopefully as just a way to augment anything that you're doing to improve your English. And if I could be of a benefit to you, then I'm glad. And if there's any ideas that you have for any kind of video making or anything like that, any kind of video topics that you want to see, go ahead and leave a comment or something like that. Hopefully, I will read it. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for participating. And if you do, again, if you want to go out there and date a foreigner, go for it, do it. Go to the dating sites, go to the cafe, get out there and meet somebody. But you really got to do what you really got to do is you do have to work on your communication, which chances are will be English, right? And so if that's the case, start practicing now. Start being honest right now. Start telling your story honestly right now. But don't be shy. Don't change your vision just because somebody else has a different vision. And I've seen enough relationships where this doesn't matter, Japanese or foreign, but like if you have one vision for your life, but your partner has another vision for their life and they don't match, then maybe you should find somebody else. You got to find somebody that has the same dream as you, and you need to align those dreams together. And if you could do that, then you have a chance at being successful. But a lot of times people will basically say, you know what, that's not my dream, but I like living with you, but like that's for now, but like in the future I have these dreams, and I remember the same kind of thing happened to me when I was in California. Especially I met this one girl, American girl, but I had plans to go to Japan, when I met her. So I was like, hey, like I really do enjoy hanging out with you, but I'm going to Japan in 2 months. What are we gonna do, right? So being honest is always a good thing, and learning to express yourself honestly and just being you and not being shy about having a dream. You want to go to Canada, go to Canada. If you want to go to Hawaii, go to Hawaii. If you want to go to the Philippines, go to the Philippines. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get out and do something with your life. It's just a matter of doing it and practicing all the way through. So hopefully, if you guys do want to meet somebody, a lot of times that is tied up with traveling abroad, and so maybe you got to travel abroad first before you meet somebody. But nonetheless, either or, you still got to practice English in the meantime. I always see it as practicing for the person that you're eventually going to meet, that like every conversation that you do is you practice being yourself, you practice being nice, you practice on getting to know other people. And there's no problem with making friends or making acquaintances with lots of people, but like if you're really going to go for like a genuine kind of like romantic relationship, it takes time to really get to know somebody. And in that case, gotta you just gotta share the same language. That's my opinion. If you can prove me wrong, do it. But like, through your own experience or whatever. But basically, yeah, guys, keep it going. Keep your dreams alive. Get out there, meet people, practice your English, be honest with yourself, be honest with your partner, and learn to express yourself. And if you have any kind of questions about this kind of thing, leave a comment and maybe I'll get back to you. And also, too, if you guys want to do, I can share the Instagram if you guys don't, if you don't mind. Instagram. You guys can follow me over there. It's ky senpai. It's spelled like that. If you guys want to follow me there, that's cool too. Um, Still haven't figured out how to do Instagram. Going to be working on it. Going to try different things. Going to try doing the vertical videos, but we'll see. I don't know. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate your time. It is now time for me to eat some dinner and have a good one. Peace out, and I will talk with you guys soon. Take it easy. Peace. End.